One moment. Come in, Linda. Don't be shy. You see? There he is.
Do you think I wouldn't recognise him? Of course, I knew you, Tomakin. I should have known you anywhere, among 1,000. But perhaps you've forgotten me. Don't you remember? Don't you remember, Tomakin? It's me, Linda. You're Linda, Tomakin, darling.
Who is this creature? What's the meaning of this monstrous...
I'm your Linda. Linda, don't you remember? You made me have a baby. Yes, you made me have a baby. A baby, and I was its mother. It wasn't my fault, Tomakin. I always did the drill, didn't I? Always. I don't know how it happened. But still, he's been a comfort to me. John! John, he's here.
Yes. Come on out, John.
I do... Father! My father...
Bernard's asked me to meet the Savage next Wednesday. Fanny, I'm so glad. And now you must admit that you were wrong about Bernard. Don't you think he's really rather sweet? Yes. And I must say I was quite agreeably surprised. Do you know, he told me he had 6 girls last week. I believe it. The assistant predestinator himself cadged an invitation to one of Bernard's parties. It's the only way to see the Savage. And Bernard's John's accredited guardian. No more talk of alcohol in Mr. Marx's blood surrogate these days.
Oh, Lenina. I just wish I'd been there when the Savage went down on his knees before the director, calling him father. Oh, it's almost too good to be true.
The poor man hasn't set foot in the centre since.
And what about his mother?
Fanny, that's past a joke. That's an obscenity.
Of course, she isn't a real Savage. She's been hatched out of a bottle and conditioned like everybody else, so she can't have any really quaint ideas.
She's horrible. Fat and old and bad teeth. Oh, you simply can't look at her without feeling positively sick. I've no desire to see her ever again.
And from what I hear, she has no desire to see us.
It's best if we just leave her like that for the time being, Mr. Savage. The television on and the patchouli tap just dripping. It's quite expensive. And make sure her Soma tablets are within reach.
But she's taking 20 grams a day already.
That's right. That'll finish her off in a month or two. One day the respiratory centre will be paralysed. No more breathing.
Finished?
And a good thing, too. If we could rejuvenate, of course, it would be different, but we can't. Not her.
But aren't you shortening her life by giving her so much?
Look, Soma may make you lose a few years in time, but think of the enormous, immeasurable durations it can give you out of time. Every Soma holiday is a bit of what our ancestors used to call eternity.
All the same, I don't believe it's right.
Well, if you prefer to have her screaming mad all the time.
And in this factory, each process, as you can see, is carried out by a single Bokanovsky group.
Twins? Identical twins?
Well, yes, as far as possible. We have 83 deltas from the same Bokanovsky group working in cold pressing, for example, and in the foundry, 107, I think, Epsilon Senegalese, all identical, all heat-conditioned.
And those Delta females over there with the sandy hair?
33 of them, yes, all within 20 millimetres of an identical height, 1.69 m. And we've 2 sets of Gamma Plus dwarves in the assembly room, 2 Bokanovsky groups, 47 in each. The work tables are rather low and the conveyor passes between them. It's so much more efficient.
Oh, brave new world.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, brave new world that has such people in it.
Yes, I can assure you we hardly ever have any trouble with our workers.
We always
Excuse me.
I think I'm going to be sick.
John?
John!
And this is the statue of R. Ford. Rather ancient, I'm afraid.
Chrome steel. Oh, and that's Lupton's Tower, of course.
Yes, 52 stories. And the school community singery just beyond to the right.
Do you have many twins here? What is it? Bokanovsky?
Oh, no. Eton is reserved exclusively for upper caste boys and girls. One egg, one adult. It makes education more difficult, of course, but as they'll be called upon to take responsibilities, it can't be helped. I think we're just in time for a history class. Alpha double plus.
Was actually prohibited.
Settle down, please.
Parliament, as it was known.
They're watching a program by our Ford ship. The controller,
records
Mustafa Mond.
Speeches about liberty of the subject. Liberty to be inefficient and miserable. Freedom to be
Miss
a
Keith.
round peg.
Yes, Mr. Marks.
I was thinking,
And the cost.
if you're free any Monday, Wednesday, or Friday evening, I'm the Savage's guardian, you see.
Because of something
He's
called
curious, you know,
democracy.
quaint. And
As though
if you'd
men
like to...
Why, thank you, Mr. Marks. I'd be delighted to come.
The 9 Years' War began in AF 141. Phosgene, chloropicrin, diphenylcyanacine in the Kurfürstendamm and the 8th arrondissement. The explosion of the anthrax bombs was hardly louder than the popping of a paper bag. The 9 Years' War, the great economic collapse. There was a choice between world control and destruction, between stability and chaos.
Yes, class?
Community, identity, stability.
In the end, the controllers realized that force was no good. The slower but infinitely surer methods of ectogenesis, neo-Pavlovian conditioning, and hypnopedia were applied, accompanied by a campaign against the past, by the closing of museums, the blowing up of historical monuments, by the suppression of all books published before AF 150, straight from the mouth of R. Ford himself.
Class?
History
Is bunk.
The introduction of R. Ford's first T-model was chosen as the opening date of the new era, and the ethics and philosophy of underconsumption.
You will come, won't you? I'm giving a party on Monday.
Yes, I look forward to it.
Everyone will be there. The Arch-Community Songster of Canterbury, the Ford Chief Justice, and the Savage, of course. I'd love to have you.
Yes, Mr. Marks, but not here.
And 6 years later, Soma was being produced commercially. The perfect drug. All the advantages of Christianity and alcohol, with none of their defects.
Class, 1 cubic centimeter
Cures 10 gloomy sentiments.
With Soma,
Thank you, class.
you can take
Carry
a holiday
on.
from
Now,
reality
Mr.
whenever
Marks,
you
Mr.
like,
Savage, shall we
and
visit
come
the
back
school
without
library?
so much as a headache or a mythology.
Do they read Shakespeare in this school?
I'm sorry?
Do they read Shakespeare?
No, certainly not. Our library contains only books of reference. If our young people need distraction, they can get it at the Feelies. We don't encourage them to indulge in any sort of solitary amusement. Some of our younger children, Mr. Savage, just returning from the Slough crematorium. Death conditioning begins at 18 months, and every tot spends 2 mornings a week at a hospital for the dying. All the best toys are kept there, and they get chocolate cream cakes on death days.
Death days?
Yes, they learn to take dying as a matter of course.
Like any other physiological process, eh, Miss Keith?
Exactly, Mr. Marks.